Hey! Yes, you! Do you like to run? Do you like to gun? Does your controller have two analog sticks? Great. So let me show you a couple of games that take their inspiration from as far back as Abuse and marry the universally connected to 80 directions run and gun with the forever isometric twin stick into a single concoction where one stick runs and the other stick guns. And I don't know if this subgenre has any name, so twin stick run and guns it is. Rive starts its application for a rent-free residence within my school's trunk by being a two-dimensional game with lasers, spaceships and robots, but without either pixel art or cyberpunk, instantly making itself stand out against the backdrop of almost every other indie game released since like 2015. And this decision comes with its own set of headaches. I don't think we ever agreed on how to make a 2D game look good on hardware that can't do polygons but can do high definition. But personally, I think that 2.5D is cheating, and among the real attempts, games tend to get unreadable, lost in the post-processing and highlights, or disregarding everything but the aesthetics to pull it off. So, with all that being said, Rive looks pretty good. It does the real 2D with tons of parallax scrolling and without overdoing the modern effects on top. I wasn't much surprised by references to Tetris and Doom, that's fairly normie. Gradius and Metal Slug maybe raised my brow a little, but by the time Blazing Lasers was mentioned, I felt a little spoiled. Names are dropped every 2 minutes, mainly shmups and run and guns, mostly in passing, in clear statement of what it's all about. Making a space shooter for the end times. Okay, so here is a pin, and I'm putting it in that. Out of all the names dropped, one that stood out to me as the closest point of comparison is Contra Hardcore. It isn't until like the last 3 levels when Rive matches its viciousness, but the handling, amount of in-air control and necessity to keep your trigger held at all times keeps those games related. However, there's a system of special attacks that you can perform once universal ammo is collected, and those can be upgraded throughout the game. You can hack things both to unlock your path forward, as well as to gain a little robot companion for a short while. Missiles, when shot, don't explode but change course, and every now and then there are gravity bubbles. Besides those, there aren't really any mechanics that make Rive feel that much unique, which I'm saying without throwing any shade, as how many mechanics were you expecting in a run and gun really? Rive is a linear game, and you get to revisit locations many times, but pacing is not hurt by that, as there are many set pieces and little surprises that keep it from turning stale, and very generous checkpoints that keep it from turning frustrating. My gripes with level design are that it relies too much on locking you in a room and throwing a set amount of robots your way, as well as enemies becoming a bit of a background noise to the level hazards as the game wraps up. It doesn't change the fact that Rive is a very decent game, and that I feel kinda bad that its developer, Two Tribes, has shut down shortly after Rive's release. And they knew it would happen, and they treated it as their swan song, because it kinda was. Oh, so that's where I left it. Butcher is also loud and proud about its inspiration, but rather than throwing them at the player and hoping for the best, it actually kind of is one. Chunky pixels, earthy tones, industrial OST, a very good one at that, and tons of gore lead to one place, and one place only: Quake. Software rendered. Granted, chunky, dully colored pixels of the world are a bit too similar to the chunky, dully colored pixels of the player character, but besides that it's fine. Butcher mirrors gameplay mechanics of Quake quite closely, so over the course of its short campaign, you gain access to a typical boom-shoot arsenal. Shotgun, machine gun, grenade launcher, railgun, stuff like that. Crucially, they feel fantastic. They sound vicious, shake the screen and provide great feedback. Seriously, chef's kiss. Mwah. Health is to be gathered up rather than generated from thin air, so is the ammo, separate for each weapon, using scarcity to balance them out. One hit from a fairly common shotgunner can fuck you up real good, let alone anything more serious, and while the levels are short, there are no checkpoints. All mentioned above result in a quite Quake-ish combat feel, where you approach each room and corridor with some amount of caution, manage your resources, use platforms and walls as cover, and learn to abuse AI. So, game plays pretty pretty tight, with my only real gripe and main cause of death being the weapon selection. I played on Switch, and weapons could be scrolled using only face buttons, with no ability to remap, while bumpers remained unused. My frustration though is not really with the execution of Butcher, but rather limitations of its format. Tight, fast shooting is only half of what makes a proper boomer shooter. It's the level design that does the rest. It's one thing to plop down a decent arena and a completely different thing to build everything else that feels good to explore and figure out without being labyrinthian. Understanding that delicate balance is what John Romero keeps in that beautiful lush hair of his, and what I don't think can be implemented in a game with 20% less dimensions than Doom. But it's still a great buy for €2. According to what was established earlier in this very video, this game is a filthy cheater. It's 2.5D, light in tone and has decent art style. But enough of that. How it plays is what matters. My Friend Pedro is hands down the most feature-rich of the games discussed today. Not Pedro, but to whom he is a friend. Can not only run around, but also roll, wall jump and swing and skate. His most important ability, however, is bullet time, and it's the quickest regenerating bullet time I have seen in any game, which is quite important. So I'm guessing I will be sticking this thing here. Hands down, my favorite bits of gunplay are the ricochet and the ability to shoot two separate targets. And those mechanics, as well as weaponry and ideas within level design, are introduced with great pacing, allowing each one to breathe, yet still making time to fool around, leading to some barrels of fun moments and overall sense of progression. But what holds this game together is the general sense of arcadiness, achieved through typical scoring and combo systems within short and tight levels. It encourages stringing together kills as ridiculous as you can master and, let me grab that thing, abusing the bullet time that is balanced so it lasts just enough to get you through a firefight if you know what you're doing and to regenerate before the next one, assuring the momentum an arcade game needs and making My Friend Pedro essentially a two-dimensional stranglehold. As a cherry on top, as you finish each level you get a little slideshow of your most badass move. So even if you suck ass, it makes you feel good, and that's what video games are all about. Take care.